Hi, welcome to EPG Pathshala Spanish. I'm Rajiv Saxena and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. We are learning Spanish and we are in the intermediate Spanish paper which is called Intermediate Grammar. We are in the module which is talking about the impersonal sentences. The objective of this module is to learn about impersonal constructions in Spanish. However, we should note that a detailed overview of passive constructions will be done in the next paper of advanced grammar. So, over here we will be just having a brief overview about the impersonal constructions in Spanish. It is not always possible to mention the subject of a sentence. Sometimes it is even desirable not to do so. So, if a person tells me something and I don't want another person to know that who told me, I must avoid mentioning him or her. So, we would be deleting the subject of a sentence. If anybody breaks anything which belongs to me, I cannot say he, she or they broke it if I don't know who the subject is. In these cases, we usually use impersonal sentences. In English, this problem is solved by using passive structure. It was broken. In Spanish, there are several other ways to address this situation. And impersonal sentences are those in which the speaker does not mention the subject of the main verb. There are various ways to make impersonal sentences in Spanish. Impersonal sentences can be formed using a third-person plural verb without mentioning the subject. Me han dicho que, I have been told that. Me han dicho que, I have been told that. Dicen que, they say that. In such sentences, the subject can be anybody. Very often, the speaker doesn't even know who the subject is. In other cases, the speaker doesn't want to mention the subject or thinks it is understood because the context is clear. Me van a invitar a una exposición. I'm going to be invited to an exhibition. Me van a invitar a una exposición. So, the other example that I would like to pick up is nos están llamando. We are being called. Nos están llamando. We are being called. Les han encarcelado. They have been imprisoned. Les han encarcelado. Me han enviado este regalo. I have been sent this gift. Me han enviado este regalo. To make impersonal sentences, Spanish attributes the action to a hypothetical plural subject that is always omitted, whereas in English, passive structures are commonly used for the same. So, in Spanish, the action is attributed to a hypothetical plural subject that is always omitted. The third person singular verb forms. Spanish verbs whose actions cannot be attributed to a person, an animal, or a thing are impersonal. These verbs are always conjugated in their third person singular form. Nieve, it is snowing. No hace viento, it is not windy. Hace mucho frío, it is very cold. Hace mucho calor, it is very hot. For example, so there are many personal verbs which can become impersonal when they are used with the relative pronoun que to introduce an opinion or a comment. Parece que Iqbal no tiene nada. It seems that Iqbal doesn't have anything. Parece que Iqbal no tiene nada. Another example would be es obvio que él no es el presidente. It is obvious that he isn't the president. Es obvio que él no es el presidente. So we see that the relative pronoun que introduces an opinion or a comment. Parece que Iqbal no tiene nada. Es obvio que él no es el presidente. As you can see, whenever the neuter pronoun it is used with no reference to a person, an animal, or a thing, an impersonal verb is used in Spanish. Está oscureciendo. It is getting dark. Está oscureciendo. So, whenever we want to use the impersonal, we can also use the impersonal se, which is another way of making impersonal sentences by using the reflexive pronoun se with the verb. The grammatical number of the verb, singular or plural, used with the se depends upon whether the object is singular or plural. I repeat, for the impersonal se, by using the reflexive pronoun se with the verb, we are making the impersonal sentence. The grammatical number of the verb, whether it is singular or plural, depends upon whether the object is singular or plural. Se está construyendo una carretera. A highway is being built. Se está construyendo una carretera. So we do not know the subject, and that is why we are using se está construyendo una carretera. It is a passive voice sentence in Spanish. Se están construyendo dos carreteras. Two highways are being built. Se están construyendo dos carreteras. When object pronouns are used after the reflexive pronoun se, the verb is always singular as long as there is no reference to plural nouns. Se les han invitado. They have been invited. Se les ha invitado. Or another example would be se nos han asegurado que. We have been assured that. Se nos ha asegurado que. We have been assured that, etc. If there be any reference to a plural noun, the verb is always plural. Se les han fijado los sueldos. Their salaries have been fixed. Se les han fijado los sueldos. When the object is a noun, including a person, object pronouns are used along with the nouns, especially with the verbs decir, ordenar, sugerir, pedir, aconsejar, and advertir, amongst others. So, I repeat that when the object is a noun, including a person, object pronouns are used along with the nouns, especially with the verbs decir, ordenar, sugerir, pedir, aconsejar, and advertir. Se le ha dicho a Mehul que venga. Mehul has been told to come. Se le ha dicho a Mehul que venga. Another example would be se les ha pedido a los gemelos que no salgan. The twins have been asked not to leave. Se les ha pedido a los gemelos que no salgan. There are other Spanish constructions in which the agent or the doer is omitted. These include a variety of impersonal constructions. The translations about which we are going to be talking about will remind you that the equivalent constructions are also very common in English. So, the variety of impersonal constructions that are being used in Spanish are very similar to the English translations also. The other constructions which include is se plus intransitive Spanish verbs. Intransitive verbs have no direct object. For example, ¿Cómo se aprueba este examen? How does one pass the exam? ¿Cómo se aprueba este examen? Another example would be se está muy mal en la cárcel. One feels bad in jail. Se está muy mal en la cárcel. The two form with the pronoun te. Te matas a estudiar y nadie te ayuda. You kill yourself studying and no one helps you. Te matas a estudiar y nadie te ayuda. Uno is also the subject of the sentence in many cases. Uno no tiene derecho de hacer eso. One does not have the right to do so. Uno no tiene derecho de hacer eso. The third person plural form of the verb is also used to get the same meaning, to communicate the same thing. Sospechan que él tenga una copia. They doubt that he has a copy. Sospechan que él tenga una copia. These impersonal expressions are used when the subject of a verb is unspecified or unknown but is human. So, when the subject of a verb is unspecified or unknown but is talking about a human being, then these impersonal expressions are used. They are usually used to make general statements and to express rules, but also are very useful for asking how to spell a word or what a word means. Se debe trabajar mucho para tener éxito. One should work hard to gain success. Se debe trabajar mucho para tener éxito. Or, se habla español en Costa Rica. They speak Spanish in Costa Rica, or Spanish is spoken in Costa Rica. Se habla español en Costa Rica. ¿Cómo se escribe chocolate? How do you spell chocolate? ¿Cómo se escribe chocolate? Or another sentence would be, ¿cómo se dice beach en español? How do you say beach in Spanish? ¿Cómo se dice beach en español? What we should be noting is that while the English translations contain one, they, or you, there is no subject specified in the Spanish equivalent. To form the impersonal se, verbs are always third person singular and are commonly followed by a direct object. Se necesita que la gente proteja a la tierra. It is necessary that people protect the earth. Se necesita que la gente proteja la tierra. Or, se habla español aquí. Spanish is spoken here. Se habla español aquí. Another example would be, se dice que va a llover mañana. It is said it is going to rain tomorrow. Se dice que va a llover mañana. Or, in many restaurants, you find these signs in the aeroplanes, restaurants, in many public places, se prohíbe fumar. Smoking is prohibited. Se prohíbe fumar. These are impersonal sentences. The word se has many uses in Spanish. Two of the most frequent uses are the impersonal se and the passive se. The impersonal se is used with a third person singular verb to express the impersonal English subject. One, you, people, or they. ¿Se puede nadar en el lago? Can you swim in the lake? Or can one swim in the lake? ¿Se puede nadar en el lago? Or another one would be, se dice que hay brujos que viven en la sierra. They say that there are witches that live in the mountains. Se dice que hay brujos que viven en la sierra. Or another sentence which is very commonly used is, se come muy bien en México. One eats very well in Mexico. Or, you are fed good food in Mexico. Se come muy bien en México. The passive se is very similar to the impersonal se. The agent of the action is either unknown or unimportant, and the influence is placed on the action and not the doer or the actor. So, the agent of the action is either unknown or unimportant, and the influence is placed on the action and not on the doer or on the actor. En Coyotepec se hace el barro negro. Black clay is made in Coyotepec. No se habla español en ese pueblo. Spanish isn't spoken in that town. Se gasta mucho dinero en el mercado. A lot of money is spent in the market. Se gasta mucho dinero en el mercado. No fault construction is also one of the many uses of the word se in Spanish, which is as a no fault construction. Just to name, just as the name indicates, this construction is used for unexpected occurrences and does not place the blame on anyone. So, whenever we do not want to place the blame on anyone, we use the no fault construction. These sentences include se, an indirect object pronoun which refers to the person or the persons involved, usually as an innocent victim, and the verb which is in the third person and agrees with the recipient. So, for example, we talk about a Juan se le perdió la cartera. Juan lost his wallet, or John's wallet got lost. So you're not blaming anybody, you're just saying a Juan se le perdió la cartera. Or another example would be se me olvidaron tus libros. I forgot your books, or your books were forgotten by me. Se me olvidaron tus libros. You're not placing the blame on anybody, neither on yourself nor on anybody else. You're just saying se me olvidaron tus libros. Or another one example which is of no fault example would be se nos cayeron los vasos. We dropped the glasses, or the glasses fell. Se nos cayeron los vasos. Or se me rompió la mesa. I broke the table, or the table was broken. Another example which is very commonly used in Spanish would be se te ha acabado el dinero. Your money has run out. Se te ha acabado el dinero. So you're not accusing anybody, you're not telling him that his money has run out, that he's a spendthrift. You're just saying se te ha acabado el dinero. There is no fault construction is very commonly used. In fact, if you were not to use it, you would appear to have done the action on purpose. For example, another example would be rompí la mesa. The table was broken. Of course, you're talking about I. Or you can also say perdí mi tarea. I lost my homework. Both of these sentences would imply an intentional act on the subject's part. Another possible translation of the first sentence would be I broke the table on purpose. So, se is undoubtedly the most versatile of the Spanish pronouns. As you learn Spanish, you will come across se used in a variety of ways. For the beginner, it is not necessary to learn all those ways, although it can be helpful to be introduced to its various uses to help avoid confusion when you see it used in a different way that you haven't studied yet. So, we are giving a major list of the uses of se along with the examples in sentences in the e-text section. Take a printout and follow the video. As a reflexive pronoun, this is the most common use. As explained in the lesson on reflexive pronouns, such pronouns indicate that the subject of a verb is also its object. So, when the subject of a verb is also its object, the reflexive pronoun is used. In English, this is usually accomplished by using verbs such as himself or themselves. Se is used in the reflexive pronoun for third persons uses, including when usted or ustedes is the subject. Some verbs, as in the final two examples which we are going to be talking about, can be used reflexively in Spanish even though they aren't translated that way in English. So, the examples that you are going to be dealing with are Pablo se ve por el espejo. Pablo sees himself using the mirror. Pablo se ve por el espejo. Another example would be los padres no pueden oírse. The parents can't hear themselves. Los padres no pueden oírse. Another example would be Rebecca se perjudica por fumar. Rebecca is hurting herself by smoking. Rebecca se perjudica por fumar. Another example would be Benjamin Franklin se levantaba temprano. Benjamin Franklin got up early. Benjamin Franklin se levantaba temprano. Another example would be se comió los tacos. He ate up all the tacos. Se comió los tacos. As the equivalent of the English passive voices, we can also be using say. So, by using say, particularly when discussing inanimate objects, it is possible to indicate some sort of action without indicating who performed the action. So, whenever you're using say, when you're discussing inanimate objects, it is possible to indicate some sort of action without indicating who has performed the action. Grammatically, such sentences are structured in the same way that sentences using reflexive verbs are being used. In a literal sense, a sentence such as se venden coches means cars sell themselves. In actuality, however, such sentences would be the English equivalent of cars are sold, or more loosely translated, cars for sale. Se venden coches, or se venden libros, or se venden chocolates. So, cars for sale, books for sale, chocolates for sale. Se abren las puertas. The doors are opened. Se vendió la computadora. The computer was sold. Se vendió la computadora. Another example would be se perdieron las llaves. The keys were lost. Se perdieron las llaves. The keys were lost. Se prohíbe fumar. What we had said earlier also, smoking is prohibited. Se prohíbe fumar. We also use this as a substitute for le or les. When the indirect object pronoun le or les is immediately followed by another pronoun that begins with an L, the le or les is changed to se as a way to avoid having two pronouns in a law beginning with the L sound. So, to avoid having two pronouns by side beginning with the L sound, lelo, lela, we use selo, sela. Déselo a ella, give it to her. Se lo dijo a él, he told it to him. No se lo voy a dar a ellos, I'm not going to give it to them. So, the impersonal se. In some sentences, se is used as an impersonal sense with regular verbs to indicate that people in general or no person in particular performs the action. I repeat, we use the impersonal se in some sentences where impersonal sense is being given with singular verbs to indicate that people in general or no person in particular performs the said action. When se is used in this way, the sentence follows the same pattern as those in which the main verb is used, reflexively, except that there is no subject to the sentence that is explicitly stated. As the examples below show, there can be a variety of ways that such sentences can be translated into English. So, the examples that we are going to be talking about right now are se maneja rápidamente en Lima. People drive fast in Lima. Se maneja rápidamente en Lima. Or another example would be se puede encontrar cocos en el mercado. You can find coconuts in the market. Se puede encontrar cocos en el mercado. Another example would be muchas veces se tiene que estudiar para aprender. Often you have to study to learn. Muchas veces se tiene que estudiar para aprender. So, to conclude, what we would like to say is that impersonal constructions should not be viewed as something difficult to grasp at all, because we have seen how easy it is to use it. All the rules are very clear and simple, but we need to do more exercises to learn how to use it. So, go to the section marked self-assessment and do the exercises there, and it will help us practice more and communicate much more easily and fluently in Spanish. Muchas gracias.